Hi there, my name is John Hill, and I have an intention to share an adventure with you. And this is just the beginning, so let me explain what I mean by adventure, because I live my life as an adventure. And let me tell you why I live my life as an adventure. It makes it more fun. And adventures are really about going into the unknown, and sometimes the unknown can be scary. But at the same time, if you kind of lighten up and allow yourself to enjoy the journey, that it becomes an adventure. So, and the other thing about being an adventure into the unknown is that I often look at adventures as an opportunity to transform yourself. So I see adventures as a journey of transformation. It's kind of like the hero's journey, because a hero's journey is an awful lot like an adventure. You may come up against obstacles, you may come up against adversity, there may be barriers that you have to overcome. And so I find that adventure is a great way of looking at your life, especially the parts of your life that kind of define, a beginning and an end. And so I've spent about close to 3 years, I think it was like 33 months in Los Angeles. And I moved there from Tahoe, and it was an adventure. It turned out to be different from the adventure I expected, but I was there for 33 months, and I had a number of adventures, 2 main ones, maybe 3 main ones. But finally, it came to a close, and it was around the end of January of this year where I decided that it was time for a change. That it was time to start a new adventure away from Los Angeles. And so around the end of February is when I moved. And I'm going to share about the beginning of that adventure, maybe now, because it was quite an adventure. I mean, first of all, I decided that I would move to a place where I'd been a number of times, which is the Mt Shasta area. And the reason I like Mt Shasta is that there's an energy here, a vortex that you can literally feel. And I've been here a number of times. The longest I spent here was around 6 weeks, about 2-3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And it was, and it's powerful. Every time I come here, I feel things, I learn things about myself, and it's just an awesome place to be, to live. So I decided to move here. And so what I did was I was able to go to Craigslist and find a house. And I don't live in Mt Shasta proper. I actually live about 6 miles from Mt Shasta in a little town called Dunsmuir. Sweet little town. And so I was able to actually, I never saw the house. I saw pictures, but I was able to rent the place sight unseen. They didn't know me, but I filled out the application and they were happy enough to rent it out to me. So let me tell you a little bit about the move, because the move was, as it turned out, a test of what I call the sacred masculine. Sacred masculine for me is about doing, it's about overcoming adversity, it's about doing what you need to make things happen. And so every move for me has been something of that nature. So I have been living on a budget And so living on a budget means that you don't get to spend $4,000 or $5,000 to have someone move you. I did this all on my own. I rented a trailer, a 5 by 9 foot trailer, which the trailer was an open trailer. So it had sides that went up about 3 feet, 4 feet. And I don't have a lot of furniture, but I do have some. I have a mattress, actually several mattresses, foam pads. I also had a dresser, I had a desk, I have a TV and a few other things. But I have a lot of stuff, as it turns out. And so what I did was the day of the move, which was it was February 28th, I went and got the trailer at 7 in the morning, brought it to the house. I had some stuff in the garage. I had most of my stuff in my room because where I was living was a house with 5 other people living in it. And it was nice. I mean, I loved the people there. I loved the adventure that I had in that house. But I really felt like I wanted to find my own place and to have the freedom to do and to create the kind of home that worked for me in the ways that I wanted it to work for me. So anyway, I started, I got the trailer, brought it to the house, parked it outside the garage, and then I had to transport everything to that trailer, and I was very careful. I spent hours trying to load it in the most efficient manner possible so that I could get everything on that trailer. And it turned out that it took me until 3:30 that afternoon. This is from like 7, 8 in the morning when I started packing the trailer to 3:30 in the afternoon when I was finally able to leave. Now, you have to understand, like I said, the trailer had sides about 3-4 feet high. Well, I packed this thing up to, I think the top of it was around 10 feet high. And I covered it with a tarp, but of course the tarp was only a 9 by 12 tarp, and so I couldn't, completely cover it. And I was hoping that I wouldn't run into rain because my stuff was going to get wet if I was going to hit rain. So I left, and my plan was to drive all the way to Dunsmuir, and hopefully get there around 2, maybe midnight or 2 in the morning. Well, it turned out that I was driving up, and I couldn't go really super fast. I had a Jeep, 6-cylinder Jeep, and I ended up hitting rain. It turns out that everything had been dry most of the winter, but as it turned out, the day that I decided to move was the day that a big storm system came in. And so about 3 hours outside of Dunsmuir, I hit rain. And it was almost non-stop rain. And so naturally, most of my stuff got wet. I had some stuff inside my vehicle, but yeah, most everything got wet. And then the other problem was that there was snow. It was a snowstorm up at Dunsmuir. And in fact, when I was checking the radio, because they had signs up saying that, if you don't have chains, don't come up because you're going to have to chain up. And it turned out that they were the chaining up around somewhere near Dunsmuir. And so I thought, I'm going to take a chance and I'm going to see if I can make it to my home. And I was going up, and I had to really slow down because there was snow coming down in flurries. I mean, I had to slow down because it was not easy to see. There was all this rain, then it turned into snow, and there were all these huge trucks going by. But I did get up to the place where they started chaining, and it turned out, just fortunately for me, that the place where they started chaining people up, you know, they started telling you that you had to put chains on, and they stopped all the vehicles, was the first on-ramp, or the off-ramp to Dunsmuir. And so I had to stop, but then the people that were, you know, checking all the vehicles said, okay, you need to get off here. And I said, great, this is my stop. And so I got off, and I was able to turn off, go through the town of Dunsmuir, and I was in the north end of Dunsmuir. And there was one place where it was kind of touch and go, because there was about a foot of snow on the ground. And there was this hill, and I was carrying like about a ton of my stuff in a trailer that I was towing with my Jeep. Luckily I had four-wheel drive, but I did not have winter tires, and so or snow tires, and so I was able to get up this hill, and that was the steepest part. And then I was able to get to the house. But I arrived at the house at 4:30 in the morning. Now, the people I was renting from said that they would leave the garage door open, but they didn't have, you know, hadn't given me the keys to the house because I hadn't signed the, you know, the lease agreement and everything. So I'm gonna leave it there. I will tell you that I ended up at the end, when I was trying to back up the trailer, I ended up getting stuck across the street in the neighbor's kind of front area. And that's a whole nother story. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to pick it up later, okay? So thanks for listening. I'm going to be sharing more in the future, all right? Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.